Hello guys, and this is now chapter 2.3, which talks about the voltage and current sources. Okay, so let's start. So by definition, a simple circuit element, pag sinabi nating simple circuit element, it is, or we mean it as a mathematical model for a two-terminal electrical device. Okay? And whenever we talk about circuit element, from now on, kapag narinig niyo itong circuit element na word all throughout the discussion, ang ibig sabihin natin yan, it is a mathematical model. Okay? Model lang yan siya of a two-terminal electrical device. So, yung mga actual devices, ginawa natin ng model, or through experimentation, ginawan siya ng model, and we call the model a simple circuit element, or a circuit element. Right? Tapos yung mga model na yon, they can be completely characterized by its voltage-current relationship. Okay? Na pwede nating i-characterize through its voltage-current relationship. So that is why most of the time, we will be talking about the voltage and current relationship of the elements that we are going to discuss. Okay? So, all the simple circuit element that we will consider can be classified according to the relationship of the current through the element and the voltage across the element. Right? So, pag-uusapan natin itong mga circuit element at itong mga voltage and current relationship ng element. Okay? So, please take note na pag sinabi natin, para lang formal, pag sinabi natin current, we're talking about, pag current, it is through the element. Okay? Kasi dumadaloy siya sa element. Tama po ba? Kapag sinabi nating voltage, it is across the element. Kasi di po ba, based sa previous chapter, na voltage exists between the two terminals. So, pag voltage, it's across the element. Do not say na voltage through the element. Walang ganon. Okay? Hindi pang engineering yon. Pag voltage, it is across the element. Kapag current, it is through the element kasi nagpo-flow siya sa ating element. Right. So, for example, if the voltage across the element is linearly proportional to its current flow, okay, kasi nga, di ba, we're talking about circuit elements. Anong tungkol sa circuit element? Yung voltage and current relationship. An example of this relationship, ito. Kapag daw itong voltage, if the voltage across the element, across ha, hindi through. If the voltage across the element is linear daw siya, linear proportional to the current, ang tawag natin sa circuit element na ganito, yung kanyang voltage-current behavior, is resistor. Ganon. Okay? So, again, kasi please take note that chapter 2 is all about basic components in electric circuits. Okay. Mga ganong klaseng element yung i-discuss natin. Another circuit element. Ito yung behavior niya. Kapag ang behavior ng element ay proportional to the derivative of the current with respect to time, hindi na siya linearly proportional. Kapag daw yung voltage is proportional to the derivative of the current with respect to time, ang tawag natin sa element na yun ay inductor. Okay? Naano nyo ba siya? Na yung ang point ko dito is yung mga pag-uusapan natin is yung mga circuit element na mayroong mathematical model na pwede natin siyang i-characterize through its voltage-current relationship. Itong isa pa. Itong relationship niya. The integral of the current, the voltage is proportional to the integral of the current with respect to time. Kapag ganito naman yung voltage-current relationship niya, tawag natin sa element na yan ay capacitor. Okay, na-notice nyo, per element, meron siyang specific na voltage-current relationship. Okay? So, there are also other, but please, huwag mo na kayong ma-worry dito sa ating inductor capacitor. Ang first naman na i-discuss dito is resistor. Okay? Sinabi lang to, para lang malaman nyo, or makita nyo yung point, yung sinasabi na we are also concerned about the voltage and the current relationship of the circuit element. Okay, so next, there are also elements in which the voltage is completely independent of the current. Dito, 'di ba, meron silang voltage current dependency, tama ba? So, meron ding ibang mga elements, circuit elements, na yung voltage is independent of the current, wala siyang pake sa current, or yung current niya naman ay independent of the voltage. Okay? Ang tawag natin doon ay independent sources. Nakuha mo ba yun? Ulitin ko ha. Kasi sa resistor, yung current or yung voltage across ng resistor, sabi dito, is proportional sa current through it. Tama? Is dependent sa current. Ito naman yung voltage is dependent sa current din. Pero yung isa is integral, yung isa is derivative. Okay? Meron din namang ibang sources na independent. Ibig sabihin yung voltage niya doesn't matter kung how much current is flowing through it. Or sometimes yung current niya doesn't care kung how much voltage is across it. Okay, mga tawag natin doon is independent sources. Pagka merong independent, meron din tayong dependent sources. Ano ba to? So, meron din naman mga sources na either the source voltage or the current depends upon the current or voltage elsewhere. So, yung voltage or current niya nakadepende din sa voltage or current elsewhere in the circuit. Meron din ganun. Okay? That is called dependent sources. So, okay lang hindi muna natin i-dig deeper to. Basta alam niyo lang na, may mga ganung sources pala. May mga sources pala na ang voltage niya depende sa current. Yung current niya depende sa voltage. Pero di naman iba, walang pake sa voltage or current. Parang ganun. At least alam niyo lang. Okay? And of course, ito yung symbol niya. Kapag ganito yung symbol, tingnan nyo. VS. V is for voltage. S is for source. Okay? Yung VS niya, ganyan lang. Wala siyang simple lang na ganyan. Kita nyo mamaya na may something doon sa independent. Kapag ganito lang siya, this is called an independent voltage source. Yung S na subscript is just to identify na source siya. An independent voltage source is characterized by a terminal voltage. Ito. Paano mo malalaman? Dahil dito. Kasi yung terminal voltage niya or itong VS na tinatawag is completely independent of the current through it. It doesn't matter kung ilang current yung pumapasok sa kanya, basta constant yung kaniyang voltage. That is independent. Okay? Pakitandaan to. Ito naman tayo sa tandaan. Pag sinabi kong tandaan. Okay. Usually, itong mga independent voltage source, we call them ideal source. Okay? Bakit ideal? Ideal kasi perfect siya. Ganyan yung mga behavior ng mga perfect na voltage source. Na kahit anong kuryente ang dumaan sa kanya, yung voltage niya constant. Okay, meron ba ganun in real life? Depende. Okay, sabi dito, this idealized voltage source does, however, provide a reasonable approximation to several practical voltage sources. Meron naman. Okay, meron din naman ganun na mga voltage sources in real life na para bang ideal source siya. May example mamaya. Halimbawa, etong automobile storage battery. For example, yung battery sa sasakyan. 12 volts yan, di ba? Yung 12 volts na yan, it will stay 12 volts as long as the current through it does not exceed a few ampere. Ayun. So, ibig sabihin, kahit magbago pa yung current na lumalabas sa kanya, 12 volts pa rin siya, pero hindi forever. Okay? Until lang, it will not exceed a few ampere. Depende. So, ideal siya at some point, pero after some time na masyado nang it draws out a lot of current, hindi na siya nagiging ideal. Pero at some point, ideal pa rin naman siya. Kaya, it would okay lang na i-discuss natin dito sa subject na to, of course, itong mga ideal voltage source or mga independent voltage sources. Okay? A small current may flow in either direction through the battery. It is positive and flowing out of the positively marked terminal, then the battery is furnishing power. At ano naman tayo? Furnishing power. Most probably, mga batteries, diba? They're the ones who give power. Tama ba? So, if you'd like to figure out kung ano ba yung flow ng current, kasi sa mga battery kasi nagsusupply sila ng power doon sa positive terminal. Sabi niya doon sa positive terminal, flowing out the positively marked terminal. If the positive and flowing out, kapag ka doon sa positive terminal may lumalabas, doon yung direction palabas ng current, ibig sabihin, nagsusupply siya ng current. Diba? Can you still remember? If the current is positive and flowing into the positive terminal, then the battery is charging. Sometimes, it doesn't always mean na kapag ka battery siya, furnace siya. Depende siya, kung anong function niya sa circuit. Kapag ka nag-charge siya, if ang current is papasok sa positive terminal, anong tawag dun? Diba it absorbs power? Pwede yon mangyari sa battery. Ibig sabihin, yung battery natin at that time is charging or absorbing energy from your alternator. An ordinary household electrical outlet also approximates an independent voltage source. Yung outlet natin, independent voltage source din daw yan. Kasi most of the time, it doesn't change. Kahit ano pa yung isaksak mo, after some time lang, kahit ano pa yung isaksak mo, it could still be, possibly be, 100, or it could still retain its voltage value, which is 220 in our case, in the Philippines. Okay, pero valid na lang yun, yung mga representation na yun, for current less than 20 ampere. Kasi pag masyado ng mataas yung current requirement, medyo nagkakaroon ng voltage drop. Kaya nag-change na siya. So, hindi na ideal, in that case, yung ating voltage source. Okay? Ito, basahin nyo na lang to. And magmuni-muni kayo dyan kung ano pa bang possible example. Okay, let's proceed. So, eto, we have here the figure. This is a DC voltage source symbol. Okay. Ito yung DC voltage source. Kasi after ng chapter na to, you'll be seeing a lot of this. Marami kang makikita mga voltage sources. Okay? Kaya, it would be better na alam nyo kung anong ibig sabihin nila. Okay? Again, this is independent voltage source. Ito, still independent voltage source pa rin yan. Pero specifically, ito ay DC voltage source. Alam niyo yung DC, direct current, constant, yung kanya binibigay na voltage. Okay? Ito ay, itong sa gitna, this is for battery. Sa battery, if you notice, meron siyang mahaba at saka isang medyo maiksi na LED. Okay? Not really sa drawing lang, of course. Itong mahaba, that is always positive. Yung maiksi, that is always negative. Okay? Ito, this is an AC voltage source. What's the difference between AC at saka itong DC voltage source? Alam nyo na voltage source siya because ito, meron siyang DC, V. V is for voltage. S is for source. Voltage source siya, di ba? Voltage source. At saka meron siyang positive, negative. Di ba? Kapag ka voltage source, when we talk about voltage, dapat may pair ng plus and minus. So, eto na yun. Voltage yan siya. How do you know AC itong isa? Kasi meron siyang, meron siyang wave dyan sa gitna. Ibig sabihin, that is a symbol for an AC voltage source. Okay? Next, meron din tayong independent current source. No? Ang pinagkaiba ng voltage sa current, kung sa voltage, meron kang plus-minus sign. Sa current, bilog pa din naman siya, kaso wala ng plus-minus sign. Kasi ang plus-minus is only for the voltage. Tama ba? For current, we're talking about the direction. Tama ba sa current? When you talk about current, kailangan may magnitude and direction. So, ito na yun. Ito yung magnitude, IS. I hope you can see kasi ang liit niya. Okay, ito yung magnitude IS. At saka yung direction niya is papunta doon. Kapag nakakita ka na ganito, this is called independent current sources. Okay? Current through the element is completely independent of the voltage across it. Kahit ilan yung voltage across it, the current is still constant. So if IS is constant, we call the source an independent DC current source, of course. But please don't forget that although this is independent current source, na whatever is the voltage, constant pa rin yung current source niya or current na binibigay niya. Please do not be confused, ha? Kasi, this cannot have the current. Please don't forget, do not make the mistake, kasi it's a very common mistake, na ito ay mayroon pa rin current, although the voltage is 0 across it. Kailangan pa rin may voltage across this one para magkaroon siya ng current source. Alangan naman, kasi 'di ba pag kasi kung wala yung voltage, walang magpupush sa mga charges palabas. Walang current. Tama ba? Although independent siya sa voltage, still, kailangan niya ng voltage at the terminal para magkaroon ng current. Okay? Okay, the last type actually of our source is the dependent. Kung merong independent, meron din tayong dependent. Okay, ibig sabihin ganito. By the way, this is the symbol. How do we know na dependent siya? Pagka triangle, dependent. Okay? Kapag circle, independent siya. Okay. Again, triangle, dependent. Kapag I ito, tsaka may arrow, that is dependent current source. Tama ba? Ito. This is dependent current source. Ulitin ko ha, kapag diamond, dependent sources yan. Kapag arrow, yung nasa loob, ibig sabihin current source yan. Kapag merong positive, negative sign, voltage source yan. Okay? Dependent siya. Saan nakadepende? Depende sa label. Okay? For example, itong letter A. This is a dependent current source. Specifically, this is a current-controlled current source. How do you know? Ito, IX. Don't mind na lang itong mga K, J, G, K, R. Doesn't matter. Ito lang muna titingnan natin. Itong IX, VX, ganun. Okay? Because this is IX, malamang this is a current-controlled current source. Ito naman ay voltage-controlled current source. Itong isa, guess what? This is a voltage-controlled voltage source. And the last one is a current-controlled current source. Okay? Practice lang. Tandaan nyo rin ito. Alright, so dependent sources, sometimes they're also called controlled sources. Controlled because, ayun na, depende kung sino yung nagko-control sa kanya. Again, for this one, this is controlled by voltage. This one is controlled by current. Okay? So the source quantity is determined by the voltage or current existing at some other location in the system being analyzed. So question, saan galing tong mga voltage current na to na nagko-control sa kanila? Galing lang din sa circuit at some other parts of the circuit. Okay? So we'll dig deeper into that as we go on the subject. But as of now, hanggang dun na muna yung concern natin. Alright? So it appears in the equivalent electrical model for many electronic devices. An example nito is yung mga transistors, op-amp, and integrated circuits, which also we will discuss. Do not worry yet. Basta alam niyo lang kung ano yung mga symbols niya as of the moment and that there exist such sources. Okay, so the dependent and independent voltage and current sources are active elements. Okay, dito tayo. Meron tayong mga tinatawag na active elements tsaka passive element. Okay? Na if you notice, ano ba yung common ground? Ano ba yung similarities sa itong mga dependent, independent, voltage and current sources? Of course, they are all sources. Tama ba? So, kapag ka-source ka, most probably you are delivering power. Tama po ba? So, most of the time, yung mga circuit elements that delivers power, that can give power, we call them active element. Okay? And on the other hand, those sources, as of the moment lang ha, kasi hindi naman kasi lahat. As of the moment, on the other hand, those sources that receive power, yung nagre-receive lang ng power, hindi sila nagso-supply, tawag natin sa kanila is passive element. Alright? Don't forget. So we have here our example. Meron din naman siyang solutions na dito. And since I've provided you with the discussion, I hope pag binasa nyo to, discussion niya, you can relate. Okay? If not, you can message me. We also have here our practice exercise. And finally, before we end, meron tayong networks and circuits. Okay, please take a look at this. Ano nga ulit itong mga figure na to? Itong mga shapeless objects. Ito. They represent circuit element. Tama po ba? Ito yung mga circuit element. Andito yung terminal niya. These are two terminal circuit elements. For this drawing, by the way, ito na to. This is a voltage source. Dependent or independent? Independent. How do you know? Hindi siya diamond. Circle siya. Okay? How do you know the voltage? Kasi meron siyang plus minus. Kapag ka-arrow yan, that is current source. So, etong figure na to, meron siyang mga circuit elements with a voltage source. Etong isa lang siya, meron din siyang voltage source. Okay? Now, ano ba itong networks and circuits? Mamaya na yan. So, eto muna. Ano bang network? The interconnection of two or more simple circuit elements forms an electrical network. Kapag ka may interconnection, basta connected lang yung mga simple circuit elements, network na yan. Connected ba to sila? Yes. So, network to. Etong dalawa, connected ba to? Yes. So, network to. Okay? Ang isa, if a network contains at least one closed path, it is also called electric circuit. Nagiging circuit lang yung network, take note, nagiging circuit lang yung network kapag ka merong at least one closed path. Eto, tingnan natin kung may closed path. From here, so i-trace natin yan, and tada, open. So wala siyang closed path. So most probably, this first figure is not a circuit. Okay? Itong isa, trace natin kung may closed path ba. Okay, meron siyang closed path. Ibig sabihin, the other one is a circuit. So that is why, take note that every circuit daw, lahat ng circuit is a network. But not all networks are circuit. Correct? Okay, I hope that is clear. And also pala, please take note, mayroon din tayong tinatawag na active and passive network. Okay, active ang network. Please, can you still remember yung ating active and passive element? Paano nga siya? Kailan nga siya active element? Kapag it delivers power. Tama ba? Passive element kapag nagre-receive lang ng power. So sa network, meron tayong tinatawag na active network and passive network. So malamang yung active network are those na mayroong current or voltage sources sa kanila. Okay, this one is a network. Check. True? Yeah. This one is also a network, correct? Yes. So let's identify kung active ba ito or passive. Again, active kapag mayroong voltage or current source. Passive kapag wala. So mayroon bang voltage or current source dito sa first figure? First network natin. Meron. Eto. Ibig sabihin, this one is an active network. This one, meron bang voltage or current source sa second figure? Yes. Asaan? Nandito. Ibig sabihin, the other one is also an active network. And that's it, guys, for chapter 2.3. If you want to review the video, you can do so. Kung kulang pa, you have to read your book. Sa book ko lang to kinuha. Kung kulang pa talaga, you have to, maraming mga videos sa YouTube. You just have to watch. Okay? Kaya natin to. Laban lang. Bye.